Yes, sir. Oh,
See, who do we all have? Got 5 people coming in. Do that shit. Go. You can just hit a bit on. Oh, I didn't even know that. That's cool. Awesome. Bag.
oh, I'll be the teacher today.
Can they hear you?
Y'all get Fs.
Ask if they can hear you.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Ah, fantastic.
What's up, gang? We got Mr. Vena coming in person. Get your notes ready. Mason, mute up.
I think Mason's here.
Mason's in the building, and he's still not in this room somehow.
Mason, get in here, you weirdo. Get him in here.
Stop flexing. I'm comfortable.
Hold on. I'm just like flexing my Wait, no, it's like the you're right.
You guys are on law number 13 then?
Law number 13. Law and Order episode.
Law number 13. Look, you guys gotta start back again. Sorry, what? Future, what does FBLA stand for?
Future.
Business Leaders of America.
Armenia?
Of the agency.
Of Armenia?
Of the agency.
Oh.
FBLA. What's it stand for, babe?
Future Business Leaders of America.
Yes.
Who do you think that?
You should all at the end, you should break. Future Business Leaders of America.
We call it FBLA.
I was gonna say, yeah,
That sounds way better.
You like that?
Oh, yeah, way better. Mine's way too long.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just getting amazing.
1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Dude, you're wearing the pants with the poop on them again.
I know.
You need new
I
pants.
just want to see who's looking at my booty, you know?
Oh my god.
Look, poopy man.
Let's move.
I was wearing like something similar to this, I'm like walking, I look in the mirror and I'm just like, what the hell? It won't come out. Dude, I'll wash it over and over again, it won't come out.
It's just in the chairs.
You do white jeans.
Yeah, bleach will do it. Those are white.
Yeah.
You can put as much bleach on there as you
Yeah, bleach
fucking want.
Bleach it and then
Yeah,
it'll
bleach.
they'll all be, the whole thing will be white.
No more pretty. Rock you.
Yeah.
Why'd you get silent after you saw it? I'm not care about, because I thought you were gonna say like, Mason, shut up. I'm such a bully. Marissa's in the building.
Tommy here.
Yeah, he should be here.
He should be here.
In the.
This is for acting. Future business leaders.
It is stuff about it.
Can you come on the screen and show everybody real quick what you look like?
Oh,
Put your glasses on.
it's like
There you
Penny,
go.
Penny Pablo, bro. Look at him.
Come here. Show everybody what you look like.
Looks like Nico Bell.
There you go.
From GTA number 4. Yeah, no, number 4. Nico Bella. He always wore like a jacket like that. Yeah.
Oh, dude,
What we missing?
I went tanning the other day, my whole back is burned. Burned.
That's what you get for it.
I got my boy's bachelor party that I gotta get ready for.
Oh.
I gotta get that Italian tan.
Yes, sir.
Italian.
Oh, this is good. Check out
Mason
that.
got a plate.
Oh. That's what you get when you work hard, Marv, maybe.
I
don't mind, brother.
Does
Hey,
he start with something or should we just start?
Maybe we should start with the video. Maybe that's what you want. Start with that. What law are you guys on today?
13.
Hey.
Hey, he's here.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about.
Planet.
So, yes, sir.
You,
I can't afford it.
We're on law number
12? Okay.
What's up, T Money?
What's going on, guys? What's up?
We're coming from the news there.
Straight from the booth.
Good morning, America. Good morning, future business leaders
He's
of
coming from,
America.
this is what success looks like. Take notes.
Here we go. Boom.
Law number
Yeah. Let me know when to start. All right, cool. Everybody should be ready. All right.
12, the law of empowerment. And the law of empowerment says only secure leaders give power to others. Only secure leaders give power to others. In your notes, the people's capacity to achieve is determined by their leaders' willingness and ability to empower. Let me illustrate. Every year, I spend time with my nonprofit organization, Equip. I teach thousands upon thousands of leaders. Especially in developing countries around the world, is I've noticed that the person in power, the person that has a leadership position, instead of empowering others, and instead of sharing with others, and instead of including others and developing a leadership team, the person in a leadership position, instead of raising up people, in developing countries most often, they try to push down people. Let me illustrate. Come on up here for a moment. My name's John. What's your name?
David.
David, come on up here beside me. Let me just illustrate this with David. By the way, David, I wanted to pick out somebody good looking.
I'll go sit down.
No. No. I just looked around and said, I got to get a good-looking guy for this. Okay, now, watch this, David. What I found is too many leaders, and by the way, I don't want to stop here, but not only in developing countries, in America, I see this happen all the time. Leaders who have power and have position, taking somebody like David. Let's say I'm the leader, I got the power, I got the position. Here's what I see happening all the time, where we take them and we try to push them down. Okay, come on, David, cooperate.
Oh, sorry.
David's theme song is I Shall Not Be Moved. So these leaders, they push them down. You follow me? And their whole thing is, I got to keep pushing my people down. I got to push them down. By the way, have you noticed something? While I'm pushing David down, what's happening to me? I'm going down with him. That's the way it always works, friend. Listen, if you're a leader and you push people down, you just go down with them. It's only a matter of time. Just as if I take David and I start developing him and I say, I'm going to lift him up and I'm going to get him up to a higher level. Now, notice now what happens? When I start lifting David up, what happens? I go up with him. Here's what I want you to understand as a leader. You either go up with your people or you go down with your people. And this idea of somehow I'm going to protect my position, I'm going to push people down. What we don't realize is it eventually is our downfall also. By the way, thanks, David.
Thank
you did a great job, didn't he, huh? Give him a hand. He did a great job. Okay, now. David, you and I have been practicing that for months, and boy, it worked out really well. Okay. Now. So you ask yourself the question. I ask myself this question all the time. Again, when I travel and I see this happening in other countries, I ask myself, why is it that the leader insists on somehow being way above his or her people and always is trying to kind of keep everybody, I don't know, they have this kind of like, the best way I explain it, almost like a king of the hill mentality. And I got to be on top. Why is it that people fail to empower people and give them the energy and the permission and the environment that will help them to be growing and be great leaders themselves? I think there are several reasons we need to discuss quickly. One of the reasons I think we fail as leaders to empower others is insecurity. You show me an insecure leader and I'll show you somebody that will never empower anybody. In fact, let me tell you what's never happened. An insecure leader has never empowered anyone because they're too insecure. They're afraid that somebody else will get their job. What happens if I give somebody a little bit of empowerment and they do a better job than me? Whoa! And that insecurity constantly causes leaders to keep pushing people down. Let me just say this, and then I'll move on real quickly, because I'll start to show my bias, and I don't want to do that. One of the worst days of your life is to be in any organization where you have to follow an insecure leader. Trust me. It's like walking handcuffed through a landmine. It's only a matter of time till they'll blow you and them up together. Insecurity. Insecure leaders do not empower other people. Another reason I think we fail to empower others is a desire for job security. I do know people who, I don't think they're insecure, they just want to keep their job. They're saying, well, I don't know if I want to train and empower somebody, they may take my job away from me. Now, what I've always taught, especially in my inner circle, who I've taught all to be leaders, I've always told them it's their job to work themselves out of a job. My thing is equip and train people to take your job. And let me tell you something. If you equip somebody to take your job and you train them, here's the way this works. If you work your way out of a job, I'll give you another one. I've had key inner circle members that have had 7 or 8 positions in a period of maybe 13, 14 years with me. I mean, they've gone from this one to another because they train and empower, and then they've done that, so they don't need to run that, so they go over and run another area. I have a wonderful friend of mine who's been with me for over 20 years, Dan Ryland. Little that man, I bet you he has worked himself out of at least a dozen jobs in 20-plus years of being with me. And what I say to my staff is, you work yourself out of a job, I'll give you another one. In fact, here's the way it works with me. If you can't work yourself out of a job, you're smart, aren't you? I'll take the one away from you. You'll lose the job if you can't train someone else to do the job. But I think sometimes we just don't want anybody else to take our job. Another reason I think we fail to empower people is a bad experience. In other words, I'll bet everyone in the studio, and I'll bet everyone listening to this leadership training tape, I'll bet every one of us have had a time where we've trained somebody. I mean, you've worked hard, you poured your life into them, you trained them, and then it turned out bad. They didn't do a good, they left the company, they left you, they hurt you, they backstabbed you, they did all kind of, how many of you have ever had a bad experience trying to train someone? Raise your hand. Oh yeah, 100% in the studio. How many of you are sitting beside that person today? Now see, you've learned. Now your hand doesn't go up anymore. You know better. You know better. Okay, now, a lot of times just a bad experience. I've had that happen to me. I can remember as a young leader taking a very promising young guy, younger than me. I was already in my 20s, so he was really young. And pouring my life into him for about 3 years, and only to have him just mess up. And I remember I said to myself, I'm never going to do this again. I am never going to do this again. I'm done training people. In fact, I thought, when I hire people from now on, instead of pouring my life into them, I'm going to keep them at a distance. And for the next 6 months, when I brought a couple people on my staff, I kept at a distance. And then one day I realized that if you don't allow a person to get close to you, and if you don't pour your life into them, the good news is they probably won't hurt you. But the bad news is they'll never help you. They'll never be able to come alongside of you and truly alliance and partner with you. But a bad experience. A lot of times we just have bad experiences. I'm never going to do that again. And so therefore, we fail to empower people. Number 4, ego. Just ego. Just the fact, hey, a lot of times we don't empower anybody because we want all the credit. Isn't that true? Yeah, we think, my goodness, I empower this team. They're going to get some of the credit, and I'd like to have it all. Hello? Huh? Number 5, codependency. I think sometimes we are codependent with others. In other words, basically what we're saying is I need you and I want to keep you close to it. If I empower you, I might free you up to let you go. And I put in there because it's a true statement, you can't lead people if you need people. Now, don't take that statement to the extreme. Don't go back and say, boy, I don't even like people. This is awesome. I have the first quality of being a great leader. No. If you need them, and the reason you can't lead them if you need them is if you truly need them in a codependent way, you'll never make the hard decisions because you need their approval too much. By the way, as I close out the law of empowerment, I just want to say to you that this has been a law that has been very important to me since I've turned 50 and now much older. I've come to the conclusion for me, now this is just for me, that my greatest joy and my greatest fulfillment is in adding value to others. And I can say at this stage of my life, other people's success brings me more joy than my own success. And I don't mean that wrong because I still like to hit the ball out of the park. And every once in a while I get the chance to hit the ball out of the park. But to train and teach someone else to do that, it's a greater joy. You know what? I kind of know what I can do. But when I pour my life into others and I see what they can do, it begins to compound as far as the return. It begins to, instead of to add, it begins to multiply. And so I kind of close this law by saying that I have found that adding value to people is very important to me. And I basically try to guide my life so that every day I can positively take people to another level. And I found 3 things about adding value to people that is just absolutely huge. And the first thing I found about adding value to people is this, that you can only add value to people if you truly value people. If I don't value you as a leader, I'll manipulate you instead of motivate you. And it's never right. So the only way that I can ever add value to you is truly value you. And secondly, I only can add value to people when I know and relate to what they value. I've got to know and relate to what they value because I can't add value to them if I'm on a different page. I've got to know what their interests are and what their goals and mission and passion is. Those are important. So I can only add value to you if I know and relate to what you value. And thirdly, I can only add value to you and to others when I make myself more valuable. In other words, I've got to keep growing. Because if I don't keep growing, I cannot pass on to you what I'm learning. Because you cannot give what you do not have. So how do I stretch you? By stretching myself first. How do I add value to you? By adding value to myself first. How do I grow you? By growing myself first. By making myself more valuable, then I can add value to you. And that's what the law of empowerment is all about. Taking people to a higher level than they would have ever gone on their own. But because you willed it and gave permission to it, you empower them.
All right. How about that? Let's see here. Stop share. Boom. We'll make it full screen. Make sure we got the right mic. All right, mic check.
Good.
Let's go around. Let's go around the horn real quick. Anybody virtual? Looks like Hollywood Squares up there. Look at everybody. You guys look good. Who got anything? Got any feedback? Pat Sullivan just got in, so if you can maybe fill him in on maybe 2 or 3 things that stood out.
I liked the pushing down analogy, even though the guy, he didn't really get what he was doing and he didn't go down right away. But he said, you either go up with your people or you go down with your people. And I think that's huge. We have to empower and uplift, and, not everyone's going to have maybe necessarily a great week sometimes, but rather than, put them down, empower them, make them show that, they can do something, show faith behind them, and then they're going to get more confident. I think that's just on a very small scale. But also when you look higher up in leadership too, for example, you become an SA, now we start running workshops, right? And having that empowerment from our leaders to allow us to have that extra responsibility, to have that confidence to continue growing. So I think that was huge.
That's the biggest thing that I remembered from that thing. I just, for the last 12 years, after I saw this video 12 years ago, that's the biggest thing from that one that always stood out to me, is just remember, whenever you put your people down, look what happens to you, and I'll never forget him doing that. And anything else?
I like how they said the more power, the more value you add to others, or the more value you add to yourself, the more you can add to others.
Yes.
So it's kind of related to the law of the lid. If your lid's at a 6, your people are going to be below you. The more you raise your lid, the more you raise your power, your value, the more your people will grow as well. So I think that was better.
That was Marvin there. If you guys could hear that, he said the more you add value to yourself, the more you can add value to others, which is that whole, you want to be almost, what do they call that? Selfishly unselfish in a way. You can't help others until you can help yourself first, right? It says that in the Bible. So that's a good point. Anything else?
That's something I like.
Yes, Mason.
I like you will lose the job if you cannot train somebody to do the job.
You will lose the job if you cannot find someone to
Do the job.
if you can't train someone to do the job. You will lose the job.
Yeah, that too, the why do leaders fail to empower people? Because I feel on one end, it's good to be oh, you have the laws and everything, but I feel on the other end, it's helpful for me at least to know, what you would be doing as a leader to make these things happen. You're insecure or a bad experience. I think we could all relate to that. People have a bad experience with the trainee or whatever, they're oh man, I don't want to do this anymore, or I just wasted 2 months with someone and then they left. I don't want to do this again, and then they're not trying to empower the next person, or the ego, wanting all the credit, the codependency, And then what Mason just said, I think that was good. Because I need the other end of things. Okay, it's the bad side almost,
Yeah.
I need to look out for it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that, if you push people away, they can't hurt you, but they also can't help you.
Yeah.
If you push people away, they can't hurt you, but they also can't help you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's avoiding conflict, avoiding confrontation in a sense, and that's not going to help grow, and sometimes you'll push that stuff away, and then nobody gets any better. No, you can't help anybody that way. That's a good point.
I like when you said, I know what I can do, but when I pour into others and see what they can do, it like compounds. Talking about pouring into others, adding value to them, empowering them, lifting them up. They will be able to in turn do that to others, and it just kind of grows and grows.
Yes, multiplies. So that's like a leader is a multiplier, a follower is an adder, So great stuff, guys. Good stuff. I'll try and get back onto the board because I might be throwing some numbers up here for us. And
Yeah. I love
There's an
follow
adder.
yeah.
oh yeah, leaders are multipliers, followers are adders for sure. And the way that works is if that's your intention. See if I want to develop a bunch of followers, I can develop a bunch of followers, right? And then I'm going to have a bunch of adders. But if I want to develop a bunch of leaders, that I can develop a bunch of multipliers is really what a leader is. It's someone that can duplicate themselves into others on certain things, and then you delegate. That's the whole process. Duplicate, then delegate, right? So the key is making sure that the master copy of what we're duplicating, we're making copies of something, right? You want to make a copy of like the main one, right? You wouldn't want to get a hand-me-down copy of something that Faith got that was given to her by Marvin, that was given her by Reich, that Reich got off of Vince got off of Geo got off of me, that I made a copy one day when these people, they left it on the printer one day, and I made a copy and I took one for myself 8 years ago. Like it's good, but it's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, right? It'd be nice if you could just go right to the main source and not make a copy. It'd be nice if you could go right to the print, right to your computer. Okay, instead, here's just a little side note, but also a lesson, okay, is people will go take a script and they'll go make a copy of the script, right? I'm like, why don't you just go on and get the Word document and click print? What do you think is going to come out better? Because now what's going to happen, they're going to take that and then copy it for this person and this person. It's going to have crinkles in it, little speckles on it, everything like that. And then the words get a little bit crooked, and then you're done right there. Once it's a little bit off, then you start copying and copying, and before you know it, it's all sideways and stuff. I've seen it. So the point is that's a copy of a script, but I'm talking about the business. You want to make sure that the main copy is like straight from the source and it's worth duplicating. But once you have that main copy down, and we're talking about duplicating it, you duplicate that into someone. And let's use a basic skill set. The most important skill set probably in the business is phone calls, right? Phone calls. So my goal would be to, first of all, duplicate my skill set of phone calls into my trainee, right? And if I'm pretty good at making phone calls, right, and I can take that and I can literally duplicate that into them, now guess what they're going to be? They're going to be pretty good at making phone calls. In fact, a duplicate means that there's now two, right? So essentially, if I do a really good job of duplicating myself into somebody, I basically just doubled myself. Like the movie Multiplicity, it's an old school movie. I think Billy Crystal was in it, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's the guy who was in it. Or maybe it was Michael Keaton. I can't remember. It was one of the two. Was it Keaton? Okay, yeah. Michael Keaton actually is from Pittsburgh. Just so you guys know, he played Batman. Same when Jack Nicholas, was that an actor? Jack Nicholson's an actor.
Yes.
Nicholas is the golfer. Nicholas is the golfer. He built the golf course in the house that I'm moving into, which is cool. So I got a Jack Nicklaus golf course. We walked through the country club on Saturday, and literally it's funny. Tommy was like, he's like, who built this place? And I was like, you know what, Tommy? You see that picture right there? That guy built this place. And there's a picture of Jack Nicholas, right? So Jack Nicholson back in the day played the Joker, okay? And then Michael Keaton played Batman, and pop quiz, who played Catwoman? Michelle Pfeiffer. All right, man. Okay, Matt Brown here. He's on point today, right? So Michael Keaton, he's from Pittsburgh. Actually went to Montour High School, where I went my freshman year. So I went to a Catholic grade school, and then my freshman year, I moved. My parents were living in Langley, in Pittsburgh. Langley is it's a city area. I would have had to go to a city school, which it got shut down a few years after that, just to show you how good of a school it really was. Okay, that was bad, so bad that if I went to the public school, I would have to go to Langley in Pittsburgh. So you guys might even know some of them places, right? In Pittsburgh, yeah, okay. You might have heard of it. It's not even open anymore. So my parents were like, well, we could probably maybe send you to Canevin, but it's like $6,000 a year. And like, I already knew we didn't have money. I barely had money for shoes. So like, you know, to get a pair of shoes to play basketball for the year was like a stretch. I felt bad even asking. So I was like, to ask to go to a Catholic school, man, I couldn't even put that on my parents. So I was like, how about this? I'll go to Montour. Like, well, how are you going to do that? I'm like, Nana lives in Montour. I'll go live with Nana. You're like, well, let's finagle it up. So we finagled it to where I lived with my grandma. But I literally had to take the bus from there every day. So during the week, I lived, or as a freshman in high school, I moved from my parents, lived with my Nana, okay? My Nana didn't speak English. She lived, get this, guess my Nana lived with, okay? My Nana lived with Joe Vena. Joe Vena is the guy who she came over to marry on an arranged marriage, okay? She married Joe Vena, arranged marriage. He's an alcoholic, doesn't do nothing but drink wine all day, all night, nonstop. So they get divorced. Then he goes and just lives, you know, wherever. And he ended up living with my Nana's sister for a while, my Aunt Mary, you know, because the big family, like without him, nobody would be here. So he kind of rode that as good as he could ride it. So then my Nana gets remarried to Joe Moreski. Joe Moreski, they get divorced, right? She had my aunt who's on the news in Pittsburgh. They get divorced. He becomes blind, right? She's like, oh, he don't got nowhere to live. He calls up my Nana and says, I don't got nowhere to live, right? So he goes and she takes him in. So he moves back in with her and she takes care of him. He's blind. So she's taking care of her blind ex-husband, right? And then my Aunt Mary moved to Florida, and Joe Vena, my nanu, my grandfather, Joe Vena didn't have nowhere to live. So guess who he called? He called Louisa. No, Mary moved to Florida. He called Louisa, my nana, and said, hey, can I live with you? So my nana lived with her ex-husband, Joe Moreski, who was blind, smoked cigarettes all day. She lived with her other ex-husband, Joe Vena, who drank wine and beer all day and spoke nothing but Italian. And I came home from school and I lived in the house this is where I lived as a freshman. I'm 14 years old. Like, this is what I'm going through. You know what I'm saying? I lived in the basement, slept on a futon. Imagine that, 14 years old. In a new school. I was Catholic my whole life. They threw me to a public school. You know, I get to wear dress down clothes. It was wild. It was wild. So needless to say, I got friends with the older kids, with the juniors, the seniors become friends with me. We have a party, couple parties. Before you know it, I had a big party at my nana's. She's upstairs. She don't even speak the language. So I'm just, hey, Nana, we're gonna have a couple friends over. Okay, Tommy. You know, and they're sleeping. They're all in bed. It's 9 o'clock at night. I got a full house of like seniors bringing kegs over. my dad caught wind of it and like back to Catholic schools. So they sent me back to Canavan. But I did spend 1 year at Montour, and I learned that Michael Keaton, did go to Montour. So anyways, why do we talk about Michael Keaton? Because we're talking about multiplicity. Because multiplicity is about where you can duplicate yourself and turn yourself into another and multiply, right? There's multiplying, right? So, so the next part of the whole thing, though, guys, is duplication. You got to be a master duplicator, first of all. You got to be good at that duplication process, right? So the thing is, you have to make sure that your phone call was really, really good. You got to make sure your phone call is really, really good. Okay. But then you got to be really, really good at teaching that to others. Next, after that, is you can now delegate that task. You can now delegate that task to that person, and they should be able to get it, and they get it done just as good as you got it done. So now you can do it both at the same time. So you make phone calls, they make phone calls. It's like having two of you making phone calls. Once I got into leadership, I never wanted to ever make phone calls by myself ever again. You should always have trainees with you, always making phone calls with you. Imagine that. Like right now, if you're who you training right now? Matt Brown, nobody, right? So how many phone calls you got to make? All of them, right? So imagine if you made all of them still, but then you had somebody else make all of them too. What kind of schedule do you think you'll be looking at over the next few days? It's just a matter of numbers, right? It's the massive action that Reich posted in the group today. I clicked on it, played massive action. Is that what it played for you guys? Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure. All right. I know, Mason, did you listen to it? No, you guys didn't even listen to it. You must have been pretty busy. You guys were really busy this morning. How did I find time to listen to it? And I already listened to it like 16 times, bro. What do you guys do in the morning? Do you guys look at the posts? Do you read them? Do you listen to them? Do you think people just throw that shit up there because it's just like, I'm going to be cool today? No, that was for a major reason that message needed to be heard by you and everybody in this agency, because that's what we need to be on right now is massive action, and we ain't on massive action. We think we're on a little bit of action. Jay Vaughn thinks he's on massive action, but he ain't. He's at 20%. You're at 20%. You're at 20%. You're at 10. You're at 10. Jay Vaughn's at 20. You're doing 20% of what you should be doing. Literally, 20. Times it by 5 at least to get up to where you need to be. 10. Massive action is 10x. 10x, not 2x, 10x. So you didn't say, oh, I got to double what I'm doing. No, that's not what it said. It said you got to 10 it. 10 it. 10x. You got to be on it and be about it. And we need to go on that now. Anybody who's in leadership should be on at what recruiting. Anybody that has an idea about being in leadership should be on at what recruiting. So anyways, I would make sure that whatever gets posted in that thing, I took the time to listen. You can't be that bit busy, in the morning. Driving here, listen, you can listen to the stuff, All right. So what are things that you can duplicate and delegate, in leadership, in training, when you're training people, right? What are the main things you want to do? The first thing is the phones. The first thing is the phones. So let's talk about the phones. If we had to teach, if I had to train this, if you had to teach somebody on the phones right now, what would you explain to them about the phones? What would you teach them about the situation? I would, what's that? No, we would teach them a script, right? We would teach them a script. We would teach them all that. But more importantly is before you teach them the how to, which is the script, the rebuttals. Hey, make sure you call with your script and your what? Rebuttals. And where should they be? In front of you. So are you guys doing that on phone session? You guys think you're so big for your britches right now? You're writing that much business? You're that good? You guys are that good to where you can just walk around and willy-nilly and walk around like you're the CEO, like you're the boss hog, like you own this place, but you're too good to call with your script? Are you kidding me, Mason? You haven't even had your life insurance license for 3 months and you guys are already not even using your script. You're already just willy-nilly just swinging it. Are you for real right now? Because if I had to make phone calls today, I would have my script. I said, what kind of leads you working with, Marv? What do you got? Unions. Awesome. Let me see them. Perfect. Can I get a hard card script with the rebuttals, please? Thank you. I take those things and I call them and I say those words verbatim better than anybody else says those words. More gusto, more swagger. I'm more fired up. I'm more energy coming through the phone, more positivity. They can feel it. They can hear me smile. And I got my rebuttals right in front of me. Because it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. And then even for me, because I'm the one I'm the one who wrote the script. I don't even need the script, but I'm doing it so everybody can see me doing it. Because they're like, wow, Tommy still calls with the script and the rebuttals in front of him. Yes, I do, because that's what the system says. And I can't do the big things if I can't even do the small things. And there's a system here. There's a system here. So as far as the script goes, learning how to is important, but more and less, if they know the why behind it, the how to becomes a lot easier. So before I teach people anything about the how to, I usually take a couple minutes at least and explain to them why this is important, why we're doing this. And usually I make it like it's the whole entire, I blow it up and make it really, 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 really important. Like if we were going to go over phones today, I'm like, this is the absolute most important thing that you have to get into this business, okay? Here's why. Because without phones, you're not going to have no appointment set. And if you don't have any appointment set, then you're not going to be able to see anybody. And if you don't see anybody, you're not going to sell anybody. And nothing happens until we sell life insurance. Just remember that, guys. If we could just end today, we have to be obsessed. We have to be obsessed with what this business is really about. Some people say this. They'll say, this is a recruiting company that happens to sell insurance. Just to give people a mindset like you got to recruit. But no, this is an insurance company that sells insurance. That's what we do. But the thing is, we are the insurance company. Don't forget that. We're the insurance company. We are the insurance company. So we have our own home office, our own underwriters, our own staff. We produce our own life insurance policies and issue them to the clients, right? This is not no marketing company where we market a bunch of policies out there for a bunch of other companies. And I'm licensed with 17 companies and I just go to people and I sit down with your mom and dad and I'm like, which one should I sell them? I'm going to use North American Atlantic life insurance carrier. I'm going to use Manhattan product company. Like what's going on here? We have our own products, so we're our own life insurance company. So anyways, as far as the why, like the why too, the numbers are important and the money behind it, right? So do you guys know how to break down the money and the numbers a little bit? I could go through it pretty fast if you already know it, just so I don't want to bore you guys. So let's try and go fast. And if you want me to slow down, I'll slow down. Okay. All right. So we'll start from here and we'll go there, or we could start from here and go there. Where you guys want to go? This is the beginning. This is the end. You want to start at the end and go to the beginning? What kind of movie you want to watch today? You want to start at the end and go through the beginning, or
Tarantino movie.
huh? What's a Tarantino? End to the beginning. All right, let's go backwards. Let's go backwards then. So we're gonna go with this. We're gonna go with $1,200. We're gonna go with $1,200. $1,200 came from where? 2,400 of ALP. 2,400 came from 3 sales. 3 sales came from 10 presentations. 10 presentations came from 20 set. 20 set came from 600 calls. 600 calls came from calling for 20 hours. At what? At 30 calls per hour. Now, how many people did we talk to? Let's just go through this real quick. 600 calls is going to get you a talk to ratio of 15. So for every 15 people you talk to, or for every 15 calls to one talk to, 30 calls to one set. If you call for 20 hours and you get 20 set, you're setting 1 per hour. If you make 30 phone calls per hour and you're getting what? 30 to 1 set, you're setting 1 per hour, right? All right, so now we'll go like this. So for every time you make a sale, you're basically making $400. For every time you give a presentation to somebody this week, so all you got to do is get them on Zoom, give a presentation. For every one of those, you're making $120. If you get somebody on the phone and they agree to meet with you between 4 and 5 tomorrow, and you write their name on your schedule, for every time you write someone's name on your schedule this week, you're going to make $60. Right? Every time that you, so basically, and so 60, now every time that we talk, what do we talk to someone? So how many people are we going to talk to this week? We're going to talk to 40 people. So every time we talk to somebody, just get them on the phone and get them the answer. Is how much? How much money are you making? $30. You're going to talk to 40 people this week and set 20. You're going to set 40, talk to 40, set 20. So you're going to make $30 to talk to. All right? That's it. Every time you talk to somebody, you'll make $30. Every time you get them to agree to an appointment, you make $60. Sit downs, 120. So how much we making per hour on the phones? $60 an hour.
Oh, two set.
One set. One set per hour, we get $60 a set, $30 to talk to, right? And we should talk to 2 people an hour. So those are the basic numbers. That's not too bad. Making $60 for sitting there making some phone calls, you're making $60 an hour. It's not too bad. Yeah, so treat your time like it's worth it is the point in the conversation. Is you only get this if you treat it. It's like, I know some people that are on their phones though, they make $160 an hour. You know why though? Because they treat it like it. They've prepared for it all week. They literally went out that day, got themselves some extra tea just so they can have better clear on the phone. They role played. They actually have a whole sweet headset set up. They have a whole system where, you know, they have their schedule in front of them. This person got this extra Calendly thing. First of all, guys, this is a little side note though. If you don't have Calendly, you're majorly missing out. I think we don't do, but there's a way big difference between the normal Calendly and the custom pimped out Calendly. If you have the normal Calendly, like the basic template Calendly, what are you doing with your business? And you put your name on that shit? Before you send another Calendly out, I would take a look at what that looks like and see if it's something where you would want to be spending your time, money, and effort even meeting with this person, or is it just someone who signed up for a Calendly account and is using all the default shit and is too lazy to put their picture and shit on it, or whatever you got to put on it? Big difference. Big difference. You see what we do here, right? I don't do no like template bullshit. Do I? I've never done that shit. Never. Ever, 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 ever. So make sure you and all your people take time and take pride in everything that they do. And that Calendly, number one, got to be executed good, but the best way to execute it, you got to get the custom. You got to get, if it costs, if somebody even says about cost, I will slap them. Like, that's the most ridiculous shit ever. You don't even know how to drive to appointments anymore. I'm spending hundreds of dollars a week just driving to appointments, you know? It's just an investment, it's a write-off, you know? So anyways, that's just as a side note on the Calendly. Make sure you have that going on. But with these numbers now, I would show them how we got to increase them, how we got to 10x them, how are we going to get 600 calls in now? How am I going to do 600 calls? Well, we're here on what? What are the days? We're here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We got 7 days in a week. What do we need to do? Call at least 600 hours? Well, how many phone calls can we make on a Monday? 200. 200. What are we doing? Are we 10xing this or what? We 10xing this or what, right? That's the question. Are we 10xing it or what? Or what? So we got to say, are we about it? Or are we going to say, yeah, 10x, but then we don't want to be about it? You got to be about it. This is Grant Cardone says, I have 4 businesses in this thing. He says, and the only reason all of them are successful is only one reason, is because of massive action. I just went just massive action with these organizations, with my businesses. So 200 and 200. I made 1,000 phone calls in a week myself. I know you can do it. You know, I did it because somebody told me you couldn't do it. And I said, of course you can do it. I'll prove to you couldn't. And I did it, and I won $100. So that's Monday. You could put up 200. What can we do on Tuesday? We could do 100 phone calls a day. What else are we doing? What else are we doing? We got 13 hours to make phone calls. What do you do when you get no-showed? Yeah, we got to get back on that thing, massive action. And it's got to be like, all right, I'm going to go over here. If this dude didn't get on, you're sitting there like your legs shaking. You're like, are they going to get on? 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 All right, are you going to get on? Joe, hey, Joe, he ain't answering. All right, I got to go make phone calls. And you got to get back over there and back on the phones like a dog. Like, are you hungry? Are you hungry? Or what? You can't have full belly syndrome right now. Some of us are hungry, but we're not acting like it. Like, you got to act like it. You got to kick and scream, make some noise. You got to start getting mad, get angry, get fucking pissed off for success a little bit. You know, that's what all that has to go into getting this 10x shit going. 10x is a whole big thing that has to happen inside of you. It's a mindset. It's just a major transformation. The thing is, he comes out with this thing. I'm like, good. Somebody's fucking talking about it. It's all I did. I went into this business. People say, what? Like, I didn't know when my bills were due. Like, my wife was like, I got to switch the bills over. We're moving. She's like, it's in your name. This bill over here, which one is the electric bill? She's like, where's this one that says ComEd? I'm like, babe. I looked at her. I was like, come on. I'm like, you already know. I don't know nothing about no bills. I told her this. I said, babe, I hate bills. The only bills I like are dollar bills. I swear. So I told her last night. So I was like, don't come to me with mail. I hate mail. Okay. I don't like nothing about mail. You know, I don't deal with bills. I don't even know when none of my bills are due. I don't know what they are. I don't know none of that shit. You know what I mean? I let her handle all that. My wife handles all that. So why? Because I can't clog my brain with that kind of shit. You know, I need to be so zoned in on this. Like, this is all I did, bro. Every day I woke up, I went to bed, woke up, went to bed and did this. Like, if you were in the NFL right now or something, like, you would be zoned in. Football camp. But it was just like 3-year football camp for me, my first 3 years in the business. So 10x, you know, I didn't really even get good at it until probably 5 or 6 years when I could really drop like major business. But I'll go over the schedule that I ran when I wrote 18,000 for the week. I went 18 for 18 and for 18,000 for the week. It was crazy how the numbers worked out that way. But I'll go over that schedule. This right here, would be Friday, Saturday. How about this? Saturday. How many of us are giving presentations at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays? Hopefully you are. If you're not, great time to make phone calls. Great time to make phone calls. So I think on field days, we can make 100 phone calls. Friday morning, boom, you can make phone calls. Friday afternoon, bang a couple more. Friday night, hit a couple. You know, you're gonna have an opportunity in the morning to hit 30 phone calls. That's 1 hour. You're gonna have an opportunity in the afternoon to hit phone calls for an hour. Maybe you split up a half hour here, half hour there. Eat lunch faster. Don't eat lunch. I don't feel bad for anybody at all. If they're like, I didn't even get to eat lunch. I had to eat it while I was making phone calls. Like, what are you crying about right now? What are you talking about? There's a single mom that had to take a train 4 hours to work and 4 hours home today. You're sitting in an office and we got music playing. There's frame screens around you. You know what I mean? You got a bunch of people supporting you. There's like freaking gangster rap playing in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, eat your sandwich and make the fucking phone calls. You know what Grant Cardone, I don't even want to say it, but hopefully one of you guys know what he would tell you if you start crying about that. What would he tell you? Don't be a what? There you go. All right. Marvin can say it. Gotta say it for everybody to hear. Don't be
it's bait.
Don't be a little.
Don't be a little bit.
That's what he says. That's what Grant Cardone would say, right? And I've been there. I've done that. I don't even eat lunch some days. They said Beyonce was working so she forgot to eat 3 days. She was working so hard, she just forgot to eat. 3 days. You know? Does anybody feel bad for her? No. Nobody feel bad for her. Do you feel bad for her? You know how much money she makes? You feel bad for her? No. Right? So I could sit here and tell you all the sob stories that I've been through. You can be like, dude, I didn't eat, I didn't sleep, I freaking didn't get to even brush my hair. I freaking one day I had to run from here, run to here, my car broke down. I went through all this adversity. And I'm like, yeah, okay, Mason, you made $4,700 this past week. Nobody feels bad for you. Do you think anybody's going to feel bad for you? You could come in here with the craziest story on earth, right? You made $5,000 last week. You think anybody here is going to be like, oh my God, I feel horrible for you. What? You got no showed 16 times? Oh my God, let's bust out the tissues. Let's pray. Right? So the point is, no one's going to feel bad for you. Whatever you're going through, whatever sacrifices you are making that nobody sees, nobody's going to feel bad for you. Because nobody's seen half the shit that I've been through. The extra mile is extra lonely. The extra mile is extra lonely because nobody wants to take it. I'll take the extra mile. Do you like cruising on traffic or at open road? What do you like? Open road? Well, then hit the extra mile. The roads are wide open. Nobody's there. Nobody's there. And then you think, oh, am I crazy? Am I on the wrong road? I'm the only one on this road. I must be nuts. Maybe I'm on no, you're on the right road. You're on the right road. That's the road I always been on. When everybody thought I was nuts for doing this, because everybody was doing this, I was the one guy that went on this path over here. And then anytime I do see everybody doing that, I go, everybody's doing that. Honest to God, talk about driving down the road. How many times has this happened in my life? I'm driving down the road and we're driving. I'm like, babe, all these cars are piling up. It's like we're on the road, you know, and we're driving and these cars are starting to stack up over here. And you could see it, you know, and so what I see, the car in front of me sees all these cars pulling over, right? And the car in front of me gets in the line. And the other car in front of me gets in line. So you know what I said to me? I said to myself, I was like, oh, gee, all these cars are getting over into that line. Babe, must be a reason. We should probably get over too, right? That's the first thought that comes to my mind. And then I said, wait. If everybody's doing that, it can't be a good, smart thing. So I stay in this lane every time. I'm just giving you the best advice that's going to save you guys. Listen, over the next 10, 20 years, this is going to save you probably a couple hours of your life, okay, that you could go play with your kids or do something fun with. right? Gonna get you some time back on this one. You stay in this lane and you drive by all the idiots in the right lane and you wave at them. Okay? And you drive by everybody. Drive all the way by everybody. And then all the way at the top where they're making you merge, you wait till the last second and then you merge. That's what you do. One time, one of those guys tried to be the controller of the road, and he tried to move his truck and block both lanes, right? He tried to block both lanes. So I was like, all right, cool. So I got behind him over here, and I waited for him to just slide back over, and then I was like, whoop, and I went right by him. I was like, what the heck do you think you're gonna do? You know? But everybody else, I'm cruising along. Everybody else gets over, following the masses, you know, hurt. So anyways, that's this little side thing. All right. But people thought I was crazy. So I literally spent and took just massive action into this business over my first few years. I didn't do nothing but do this business. Now, on weeks like this is where I already was going in, but I had to adjust my schedule. Because I'm like, what did you do? Work harder during these weeks? No, I didn't work harder during the weeks when I wrote a bunch of business. I was working as hard as I possibly could. I just had to shift my focus on these weeks. So my focus during these weeks went 100%. When I say 100%, it was 100% ALP, nothing else. You're like, what do you mean, Tommy? You were the partner in the agency. You were the president, you were the partner, you were an RGA, you were an MGA. You had offices that you had to go and travel and talk to, and MGAs all over the place. I had a wife, I had kids. I told everybody, my mom, my dad, my aunt, my uncle, my grandma, everybody. This week, I'm doing only ALP. That's it. Simon, I'm not getting any hires. Don't get mad at me if I don't have any hires this week, because I am going to literally be in the field at 8 a.m. every day. Every day. What do you mean every day? What about every day? What about every day? If it ends in a day, I'll be there 8 a.m. in the field. What if you don't got an appointment? I'll be in the field 5 minutes up the street from my 9 o'clock appointment, making phone calls or door knocking. 8 o'clock in the field. Every day. I'll be there. And that's what I did. Me and Justin Adams together, accountable to each other. I got videos. We joke. We get our coffee, and it'd be funny. Like, all right, you go knock on the door. I'm like, dude, all right, it's 7:59. Give me a minute. He's like, just go. I'm like, dude, give me at least 8:01, bro. He's like, all right, fine. Like, we'd be sitting there, and people like, who? It was a black guy and a white guy in a nice vehicle, in an Escalade in my driveway. And we're in like Beaver Falls, and the houses were 50 grand. My Escalade's 90 grand. I'm pulling up the houses. My car costs more than the house, right? And I'm dressed nice. Justin's dressed nice. You know what I'm saying? We have people a little confused sometimes, you know, but it was fun. We knock on the door, but every day, 8 o'clock in the morning, it put me into where? The field. Mentally, physically, I got in my car, I drove, and I went into the field, not even for the physical effects of being in the field, for the mental effects. I needed to mentally go there and not go anywhere else. And when you're 2 hours away from your house, you don't have no choice but to be successful. There's nowhere to run and hide out there. You get introduced to yourself real quick. So 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be out there all day. Here's the key. I hired an appointment setter. There's no way that me and Justin would have been able to book up all these appointments on our own. So we made a couple phone calls. We had appointment setters setting appointments for us. And we go out there and they would give us updates throughout the day. hey, we got one booked for you over here. We're like, oh, well, we have to pull up our map and shit and see like, well, I don't know if we can make it over. We have to figure out how we're going to make it to this side of town, back over to this side of town. She'd be booking us appointments from literally Butler to Ambridge. Like one time we're in Ambridge, we had to go all the way to Butler. If you know the difference, so these is like an hour, you know? So we're trying to juggle all that stuff, but we got 18 sit downs in at the end of this week, 18 sit downs. And actually, to be honest, got 19 sit downs this week. The one lady was like less than 5-minute presentation. We got into the house, quickly identified and assessed the situation. She was crazy, basically. So we got out of the house and we left. Okay? She was just nuts. So, she wasn't having none of it. So if you want to count that against us, you know, I'm not counting against us. You could put a little star. We did see 19 people, technically, right? I think Josh was out in the field that week, and he called me, and I was like, dude, I'm in the same area you're at. I'm like, I got a 3 o'clock sit. He's like, I got nothing. I was like, come meet me. So he came and met me, and he sat in there was a guy and a lady backyard, and we sat in her backyard right on her porch, and he saw us make a sale that week, one of them. So, you know, but anyways, to have a big week like that, that is what it takes, physically and mentally. Like physically, you got to be like, the best thing is you just always got to think, man, at least I don't got to go into the field. Like for you to get to the office is how long? A half hour, right? Once you get to the office, guess what? You're here all day. Me, it would take me an hour or two just to get to the field. And then when I got to the field, I was here, and then I had to drive over here, and then I had to drive over here, and then I had to drive over here, and then I had another hour and a half drive back. You know? So for you guys to be able to be here 8 o'clock in the morning and have appointments set up at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday morning, on a Wednesday morning, I was meeting people, Thursday morning, Friday morning, meeting with people, right? And if I wasn't meeting with people, I was calling, and I'm trying to get appointments booked right then and there. What I would do is I would go door knock if I didn't have an appointment. Oh shit, I'm gonna be in trouble. All right, I gotta run, guys. Sorry, they're gonna kill me. I got a 10 o'clock. I can't believe this. All right.
Well, all right.
Sounds good. See you guys.
All right. Good stuff.
That was a very abrupt ending, but I'll see you guys later.
All right.